Hello and welcome to the evening news for today, Monday, August 18, 2014. I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for joining us. In the headlines, Kaichor News would have done a disservice to the forestry sector. More irregularities surface as PPP scrutinizes preliminary list of electors. Man shot dead, wife injured in Vlesinjan Road shooting. GRDB steps up campaign against paddy bug. And East Bank 4-lane to be completed by 2015. Now for the news in detail. We start off by telling you that the peddling of misinformation by sections of the media has done a disservice to the forestry sector, the Guyana Forestry Commission said today, as it sought to clarify a series of erroneous assumptions that have been made in recent days in connection with the operations of Bai Shan Lin. Let's find out more in this report.
Bai Shan Lin is not operating in breach of the Forest Act of 2009 or the Guyana Forestry Commission Act of 2007. The Commissioner of Forestry, James Singh, said today as he put to rest a series of allegations peddled against the Commission and the Chinese-owned logging company. Singh confirmed that Bai Shan Lin has legal access to a total of 627,071 HA, of which 344,849 HA was allocated under the state forestry exploratory permits, 274,053 as timber sale agreement, and another 8,170 as state forest permissions. It was also explained that Bai Shan Lin has a total of 4 joint venture agreements.
Again, there were rumors in the papers that Bai Shan Lin is over-harvesting. This is the actual picture. GFC monitors very effectively and very efficiently. And a log or a piece of lumber is not something you can hide in the pocket, right? It is something that can be traced back to the origin. It's not like gold or diamonds or anything like that. So this shows clearly that Bai Shan Lin, the last column on the right, Bai Shan Lin has unutilized quota in many of these concessions for 2014. And for 2013, it also has unutilized quota in many of the concessions. So the notion that Bai Shan Lin is over-harvesting and clear filling and things like that is absolutely untrue.
In his more than 2 hours long interaction with the press at the Kingston office, the Commissioner referenced a number of pictures that have been published in the Kaichor newspaper. Singh said the pictures, unlike the captions that they carried, did not indicate that there were breaches within the system, but rather operations executed within the confines of the laws of Guyana.
The pictures there show several Bai Shan Lin trucks left parked on one of the trails in Cabana, one of the graders. Logs harvested within the approved areas in 2012 and 2013. These are the logs on the log trucks. Central storage of logs is recommended by sustainable forestry management practices. And logging trucks usually park along the roadside during rainfall until the road is reasonably dry before continuing their journey. Anyone who is familiar with the forestry and forestry operations, this is going to be absolutely no surprise to them. This is normal forestry practice. Excavators and dump trucks in operation. Several heavy-duty equipment line the trail. The facts are these are approved campsites and road networks. When you do your annual operational plan, you have to show where you're going to push roads for the next year or next years. So these roads are all approved, and your campsites have to be approved also by the GFC.
Singh said Forestry Commission has an open-door policy and remains committed to clarifying any misconception. However, he expressed disgust over the fact that sections of the media might have been engaged in malpractice, which could have a damaging effect of the forestry sector. Shania Singh for the Evening News.
The People's Progressive Party Civic has unearthed more irregularities in the preliminary list of electors provided by the Guyana Elections Commission, the General Secretary Clement Rohi said today. More from Svetlana Marshall.
The People's Progressive Party, PPP, had cause to write the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, after discovering that 18 persons on the preliminary list of electors, PLE, were residing at the same Georgetown address. This General Secretary Clement Rohi said is very unusual.
While it may be possible that these 18 persons are living at that address, we call on GECOM to physically verify these persons' existence and their place of residence.
According to Rohi, the PPP has been submitting irregularities to GCOM on an ongoing basis. He said one of the primary concerns is the major increase in new registrants, pointing out that there has been a drastic increase from 11,000 to 78,000 new registrants. In an effort to clear the air, Rohi said GCOM must answer some key questions.
What quality control mechanisms are used for inputting data from the National Register of Registrants onto the preliminary list of electors, and who is responsible for this? 3. Why weren't critical vacancies, including those yet to be filled, at the IT department not filled, and was only acted upon after questions were raised by the PPP? 4. When will GCOM put in place an international monitoring unit and a joint international technical assistance, JITA, in place to overlook the inputting of critical and important data?
The PPP, he said, remains convinced that GCOM is better geared for general elections and not local government elections. As the claims and objection period enters its 10th day, the PPP is calling on citizens to capitalize on the opportunity.
The People Progressive Party calls on all Guyanese to expose any type of discrepancies that may surface during the current claims and objections period in order to ensure that there is a clean, accurate, and credible voters list, the first ingredient for the holding of free and fair elections in Guyana. We call on all Guyanese to support the PPP's concerns with respect to discrepancies arising out of the registration process and the production of a preliminary list of electors.
Shania Singh reporting for the Evening News.
History was created last evening within the private sector in Ghana and the Caribbean when a brand new Cessna Caravan 208BEX landed at the Ogle International Airport. Let's find out more from Alexis Rodney.
The fine piece of aircraft is the property of Jags Aviation, a subsidiary of PK International Group of Companies owned by Brian Tiwari. It is the first time in the history of aviation in Guyana and across the region that a private company has been able to purchase a new aircraft directly from the manufacturer. Jags Aviation manager Briani Tiwari said that the aviation sector in today's world exists to assist people in their various endeavors. She said as much as her family is thrilled with the arrival of the new Caravan, it is even more excited about what that aircraft will do for the sector. It was a spectacular event as special invitees and members of the local aviation sector, along with employees and well-wishers, were finally able to catch a glimpse of the shining new piece of aircraft. The aircraft flew out of Kansas, United States on Sunday, in transit in Antigua before heading to Guyana. Standing at a cost of close to $3 million, the 2014 Cessna Caravan has a seating capacity of 13, excluding the pilot seat. It is equipped with state-of-the-art technology and is fully air-conditioned. Labour Minister Dr. Nanda Golpal congratulated the company, noting that it has taken a step in the right direction. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
Meanwhile, Chairman of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Yu Denbo, has bemoaned the current condition of the organization, saying that its challenges are overwhelming. Here again is Alexis Rodney.
The organization's chairman was at the time delivering an address on Sunday at the Ogle International Airport at a ceremony hosted by Jags Aviation Service to welcome its newest aircraft to Guyana. Denbo said Guyana, as one of the 191 states that are signatories to the Convention on International Aviation, has, via the Civil Aviation Act, conferred responsibility on the Guyana Civil Aviation for the obligations to regulate and promote the development of civil aviation in Guyana. However, the situation in the local sector leaves much to be desired. He noted that challenges are also faced in the international field of civil aviation, where the local organization is confronted with aircraft operators who are licensed by their state registry to conduct chartered and non-scheduled services to Guyana. The airlines providing such services to Guyana include Caribbean Airlines, Fly Jamaica, Suriname Airways, Copa Airlines, Liat, and Insulair. He said all other airlines are non-scheduled or chartered operators, and only an agency or individual can approach the aircraft owner to operate one or a series of charter on their behalf. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
A 43-year-old businessman is now dead and his wife nursing a gunshot wound to her torso after gunmen opened fire on them at the Blessingen Road and Regent Street traffic light just outside Botanical Gardens. More in this report.
Ashok Raghu and his wife Sharadzadi Raghu of Quarantine Berbice were in town transacting business when the fatal shooting occurred. According to his daughter, who declined to give her name, her parents had travelled to Citibank to withdraw a large sum of money to pay workers and buy groceries. The distraught young woman explained that her father has a business in the interior and would usually come to the city to transact business. Eyewitness reports indicate that the two had just stopped at a traffic light when two men rode up on a CG motorcycle. They proceeded to whip out handguns and held the couple at gunpoint, demanding that they hand over the bag containing the money. The man refused and put up a fight with the two men, but his efforts were in vain as he was shot and pronounced dead on arrival at the Georgetown Public Hospital. His wife was also shot during the scuffle and was admitted to GPHC, where she's being treated for her injuries. The men proceeded to flee the crime scene on their motorbikes, but police sources have confirmed that the two men have been arrested in connection with the gruesome robbery and murder. Shania Singh for the Evening News.
In the courts, a 27-year-old resident of Caneville appeared today at the Georgetown Magistrates Courts after being fined for narcotic possession. Sean Padmore appeared before Magistrate Fabia Azor, where he pleaded not guilty to the charge, which allegedly stated that on August 14 at Caneville, he had in his possession 4 grams of cannabis. There were no previous convictions, according to the prosecutor, Danishwar Mahindranath, nor were there any facts given. However, Padmore was fined $5,000 along with 3 months community service at a Golden Grove police station or an alternative of 3 months imprisonment. If you have any news tip or news story you would like our news team to cover, message us or WhatsApp telephone number 680-9630 or 600-3117. You can also call us on our office at 231-0382, 226-2102, 223-7230 or 223-7231. More news still ahead. Stay tuned. This is the Evening News. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. The Guyana Rice Development Board's campaign against paddy bugs invasion in Region 2 has intensified with sensitization program, training and demonstrations throughout the rice growing area. The GRDB office at Anna Regina has distributed several sweeping nets to help in the monitoring process. It is intended that farmers share the nets and help in the monitoring process. According to the GRDB Essecuba branch supervisor, Deoram Prahalad, though the situation is not alarming, the Rice Board will not be complacent. Prahalad said the nets are an effective solution to get rid of the bugs, but noted that farmers have to do their sweeping early morning or late afternoon. Along with the sweeping, he said, the fields have to be monitored from sowing until 10 days before harvesting or as often as possible. In this report, we'll hear now that the East Bank 4-lane extension project has now been set to be fully completed in the first quarter of 2015. More in this report.
The delays of projects has become a disgusting and frustrating custom in Guyana. However, according to Manager of Roads and Bridges Department in the Works Ministry, the entire East Bank Road project will be fully completed early next year. The engineer Ron Rahman disclosed that Lot 1 of the project cannot be completed as had initially planned. This lot is being constructed by Dipcon Engineering and is only 40% completed so far. While works on lots 2 and 3 are 64% and 40% completed respectively, the engineer noted that these 2 lots, with exception of Diamond High Bridge, are scheduled to be completed by December. The High Bridge, which is part of Lot 3, will not be completed since work has recently begun. Currently, the contractors are working on driving up the piles from the western side of the bridge. Rahman disclosed that delays have caused additional costs to be incurred. However, these costs are not directly related to construction work, but rather to the civil cost, that is, for the salary of a supervision consultant on the 4-lane extension project. Additionally, extra costs had to be added for the construction of concrete drains in the 3 lots since monies were not budgeted for this in the contracts. Meanwhile, an Inter-American Development Bank (IDB) funded feasibility study is currently being conducted from Grove to Tamiri to expand and upgrade the 2-lane highway. The intention of the ministry is to widen the road to include parking and a sidewalk, creating more space and convenience. In May 2011, Cabinet had given its no objection to the US $1.6 million contract to improve the access road leading to the Chetty Jagan International Airport. Government had subsequently obtained $20 million from the IDB for the East Bank Road Extension project. Shani Singh for the Evening News.
Cabinet has granted its no objection to the sum of $52.8 million to be spent in the construction of a new prison block at the Lusiknan Prison Complex on the east coast of Demerara. The sum is to be spent in Phase 3 of the construction of the 3-flat structure at the Lusiknan Prison Complex. These ongoing works will include the construction of a security fence and the commencement of foundation works. The Home Affairs Ministry, in a release, said the project is aimed at providing better accommodation facilities for prisoners in keeping with the ministry's policy of having a secure environment for prisoners while at the same time protecting their human rights. Human Services and Social Security Minister Jennifer Webster has said that with all systems in place and the final approval given, the Hugo Chavez Center for Rehabilitation and Reintegration should begin operations by month's end. Alexis Rodney reports.
Speaking with the Evening News during a telephone interview today, Minister Webster said that the ministry is still awaiting approval from government to hire 10 orderlies for the center located at Unverwacht village on the west coast of Berbice. She noted that operations cannot commence without the presence of those individuals. She related too that the ministry was able to appoint an administrator, and as soon as further approval is given by government, which she hopes will happen by month end, the 80 persons identified will be able to move into the center. Minister Webster said that her ministry was able to work along with the health ministry to evaluate the persons identified. That process has been completed and each resident has a personal file, she explained. She said too that some remedial modifications are currently ongoing and will soon be completed. Construction on the $402.8 million facility, a gift from the Venezuelan government to the people of Guyana, began in January 2010. Guyana shares a friendly relationship with its western neighbor at the bilateral level and through the Union of South American Nations. Homeless persons from across Guyana will be housed at the center, which has 2 dorms, one for males and the other for females, a kitchen, recreational, medical, training and dining facilities, and conference rooms. The center has the capacity to hold 200 males and 100 females and stands on 7.30 acres of land. Some of the land has been set aside for residents to engage in agriculture. For the Evening News, Alexis Rodney.
More news still ahead. Stay tuned. This is the Evening News. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. Anna Regina residents were overwhelmed with joy after receiving their laptops, compliments of the One Laptop a Family program. Many were in loud praise for the government for the kind gesture, which was witnessed by Region 2 Chairman Parmanan Posod. Posod told residents that the distribution process is a fulfillment of the government's promise to the people of Guyana. Some 421 persons received laptops at the Anna Regina Multilateral Secondary School, and thus far 841 persons on the Essequibo coast have benefited from the program. The distribution commenced on June 19 and will continue throughout the coast, with residents from Charity to Bounty Hall benefiting. Recipients also received on-the-spot training by OLPF trainers. The next distribution exercise is scheduled at the Essequibo Technical Institute on August 27. If you have any news tip or news story you would like our news team to cover, message us or WhatsApp telephone number 680-9630 or 600-3117. You can also call us on our office at 231-0382, 226-2102, 223-7230 or 223-7231. Stay tuned for your regional, international and Brit reports. This is the Evening News. This is the Evening News. Welcome back. In the region, Canada has warned travelers to the Caribbean to protect themselves from mosquito bites as the spread of the chikungunya disease continues across the region. Consult a healthcare provider or visit a health center clinic at least 6 weeks before you travel, said the Public Health Agency of Canada in its latest travel update on the virus. Internationally, the National Guard has been deployed to Ferguson following days of civil unrest after the police shooting of an unarmed black teenager. The state's Governor Jay Nixon said the additional resources meant a curfew currently in place would be lifted. Michael Brown, aged 18, was killed by a police officer on August 9, sparking clashes between police and protesters. An independent autopsy commissioned by his family showed he was shot at least 6 times, including twice in the head. The officer who shot Brown, Darren Wilson, has been suspended with pay since the shooting, and Brown's family have called for the arrest and prosecution. In a statement, Nixon said he has deployed the National Guard after a difficult and dangerous night of violence and looting on the streets of Ferguson. In case you've just joined us, you're watching the Evening News. We now take a look at your bridge reports. The Damrar Harbour Bridge is expected to be closed from 13 hours on Tuesday, August 19, 2014 for a period of 1.5 hours. And the Berbice River Bridge is expected to be closed from 12 hours 5 on Tuesday, August 19, 2014 for a period of 1.5 hours. Join us after the break for sports, sponsored by MacOp. This is the Evening News. Welcome back now for a look at sport, but first the headlines. Amazon Warriors management appeals outcome of CPL final. Regional youth tournaments geared towards development, says Lewis, and police win Boys and Jefford Classic. Of course, our sportcast comes to the kind compliments of MacOp.
We believe that everything worth building should be built just once. That is why we build on culture, on trust, on integrity. We exist to do more, better, faster, safer. Your success depends on the foundation it's built on. Everything we do is meant to move you forward. MacOp, let's build Guyana together.
Welcome back. Now for the details, we start off with some cricket news. The management of the Guyana Amazon Warriors team has taken a decision to contest the outcome of the second Caribbean Premier League final played between the Amazon Warriors and the Barbados Tridents on Saturday last at Warner Park in St. Kitts. More on this report. This decision was taken following a review of the sequence of events that took place during the game, which started at 16 hours 3 under overcast conditions. During the Barbados Tridents innings, there were 2 rain interruptions, one at the end of the 7th over and the other at 11.2. By the end of the Tridents innings of 20 overs, they had scored 152 for 6. At the end of the Guyana Amazon Warriors innings, the Duckworth-Lewis calculation sheet was provided as per norm. During the course of the Amazon Warriors innings, rain interrupted the game at 15.5 overs, with the Amazon Warriors score at 107 for 4. After the rain interruption, the covers were removed, mopping up took place, and the stumps were back in position, with the field and pitch ready for play to resume. This entire process was conducted under the supervision of the 4th umpire, who also indicated the restart of the game. Both match umpires then went onto the field when the stumps were up and subsequently went back off the field without communicating anything to the Guyana Amazon Warriors team on the position of the game. It was clear that at that stage, the umpires did not know the new Duckworth-Lewis calculations, which caused a further delay of more than 30 minutes within the stipulated match time. At this point, an inquiry was made by the Guyana Amazon Warriors team manager with regard to the restart of the game. He was told that information will be provided in 2 minutes. After approximately 10 minutes, with no information forthcoming, the Guyana Amazon Warriors team manager again approached the umpires and was told that the game will restart at 20 hours 40 with the full quota of overs to be bowled. At that stage, CPL even went on to update the fans via social media that the game will continue in full. Suddenly, the match umpires at this stage said they were consulting with the CPL Technical Committee, which is strange in cricket since the sole decision makers are the umpires and match referee. At this stage, the Barbados Trident's captain and coach were called and advised about the restart of the game at 20:40, and both the Barbados captain and coach objected to the decision. Further consultations took place between the umpires, the match referee and the CPL Technical Committee. After a few minutes, the Guyana Amazon Warriors team was informed by the match referees that the match had ended and Barbados was declared winners based on the Duckworth-Lewis calculations. It is important to note that the management of the Guyana Amazon Warriors team had raised this important issue with CPL officials with regards to the appointment of umpires and match officials for the semi-finals and final of the tournament. Another key conflicting matter to take note of is the fact that based on the match referee's game breakdown report, the second innings of the match should have been completed by 19:52. But when the rain came and stopped play at 19:54, only 15.5 overs were completed. This demonstrated there was a slow overrate by the Barbados Tridents, and this was not dealt with by the umpires. Subsequent to the biased final match, the management of the Guyana Amazon Warriors wrote CPL specifically with regard to the decision taken at the match and intends to vigorously pursue the arguments outlined above. Meanwhile, the management of the Guyana Amazon Warriors team has expressed deep appreciation for the support demonstrated by the fans throughout the tournament and will keep members of the public updated. Meanwhile, the West Indies Cricket Board's Youth Development Officer Rawl Lewis said the board views the regional youth tournaments as purely a developmental platform for the future success of the senior West Indies team. Here are details. Delivering remarks at the closing ceremony of the regional Under-19 competition at the Everest Ground last Friday, Lewis, the former Test leg spinner, briefly outlined the vision of the West Indies Cricket Board and the ultimate aim of hosting the age group tournaments for regional teams.
From the WICB, we've seen this tournament, and so is the Under-15 and Under-17 tournament, as purely development tournaments to aspire for bigger things, to represent the West Indies at a senior level that can bring our cricket right at the top of world cricket.
In pointing out that lots of talent have been unearthed and a good brand of cricket was played, Lewis, who played 5 Test matches and 28 ODIs between 1997 and 2009, urged the players to build on that foundation that has been laid by their participation in the regional Under-19 competition.
Please ensure that you continue to work on your game, because there is a future in cricket, as we all know, and try and see if you can balance both, please, off the field and on the field. So
Guyana, under the leadership of Brian Sotar, won both the 3-day and 50-over titles for the first time in the same year. The final of the 50-over competition was rained out, but the Guyanese won by virtue of accumulating the maximum amount of points by winning all 6 of their league games. And finally, some athletics news. The Police Sports Club was crowned new champions of the Boys and Jefford Track and Field Classics when the event concluded on Sunday at the Mackenzie Sports Club ground in Linden. Tristan Joseph witnessed the action and filed this report.
I feel great, but I still think the defending champion from last year should have been here to defend the crown. Winning a crown and the defending champion is not here tells me something different. I would have been better if the defending champion was here. Well, I'm telling you, this is the 5th edition, and we've been winning 1 in and 1 out, which means we win the 1st, lost the 2nd, win the 3rd, lost the 4th, we now win the 5th. But when we're going to go into the 6th, we're going to go with an intention, we're not going to lose the even number anymore. My athletes, they understand what they have to do, they have performed to their best, and I'm saying this here to any club, we're not afraid, and I'm saying we're not invincible, but we're going to come in next year fully prepared to win again.
That was coach of the Police Sports Club, Lyndon Wilson, after the huge win for the club that now has them $600,000 richer. However, the action on the day was non-stop, with overseas-based Guyanese Brunessa Thompson putting on a phenomenal show of sprinting to break the women's 100 meters meet record with a new time of 11.90 seconds. Olympian Winston George is probably the most complete sprinter to ever grace Guyana, winning the men's 100 meters in a meet record equaling run of 10.40 seconds. A meet record-breaking run of 21.10 seconds in the men's 200 meters and easily cruising to win the men's 400 meters in 50.90 seconds. Meanwhile, Guyana's Little Kenya and Cleveland Ford delivered a top performance in the men's 1500 meters, once again ending any doubts about who Guyana's best middle distance athlete is, with a time of 4 minutes and 16.20 seconds. Kevin Bailey finished second in the race in 4 minutes and 19.90 seconds, while Tyson Bentic was third with a time of 4 minutes and 20.20 seconds. However, Bailey returned late in the day to take the men's 800 meters by storming to the front, topping Trinidad's Mark London in a time of 1 minute and 57.00 seconds, while London was second in 1 minute and 59.50 seconds. The Guyana Defense Force men's team broke the 4x100 meters meet record with a time of 42.90 seconds and won the 4x400 meters men relay to end the two-day event on a high note. Here is what one of the organizers of the event, Edison Jefford, had to say about the two-day activity.
We've had a very good championship. I know despite some of the things that were peddled in the media, we held together and we brought what was a very successful 5th edition of the Boys and Jefford Track and Field Championships, having the most international participation, Guyana's best athletes, great weather. There's nothing more that we could have asked for in this year's Track and Field Championships, and we could only expect a much bigger championships come 2015.
And with that, we've come to the end of sport, which is sponsored by Marcorp. And that's a wrap as well on the evening news for today, Monday, August 18, 2014. Of course, you can find these and many more stories in tomorrow's edition of the Guyana Times. And here's an invitation to join us on TVG Channel 28 and on Radio Guyana Inc. 89.3 in Essequibo, 89.5 in Georgetown and Environs, and 89.7 in Berbice and Unicary, Suriname. On behalf of all of us here, I'm Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.